Hello, everyone. This is my week one discussion post for Liberty's History 530. And for this week, I chose to look at John Winthrop's City of Women. When looking at the history of Puritan society, John Winthrop is often at the center of its early history. As governor of the colony of Massachusetts, Winthrop was at the center of all political and religious decisions. This allowed Winthrop to be an ideal source for one of the greatest problems of Puritan leaders, or at least the problem they thought they had. And that was the role women would play in the colony. How much power would these women have, or what roles in society, in politics, would they have? And one such woman was Anne Hutchinson. And John Winthrop, as well as the other leaders of the society, had a big decision on their hands: how to deal with Anne Hutchinson. John Winthrop dealt with Hutchinson was central to his ability to control the Puritan society from unraveling at the seams. Puritan society was still centered around the patriarchal model of control. Even though Puritans were were breaking away from the Church of England and these Central European ideas, they weren't ready to fully give up a lot of them. The idea of a patriarchal controlled society was still at their center. Puritan society still gave women no civil or political rights, and they were supposed to really only be seen in the home. We see that Anne Hutchinson's earliest time, where she really spoke to the women and where she really did a lot of her work, was in her home. In her home, she was allowed to reach out to other women as well as some men. And this was challenged when Anne Hutchinson started to have her household meetings, where she would preach to other women who were looking to expand their role in this new colony. As Mary Beth Norton said, the state derived its authority from the principle of patriarchal power. So this idea that men were supposed to have all the power, this is what kept Winthrop in control. The idea that women had a new role in society was not conducive to the new Protestant religious movement, and many saw this as a potential stumbling for this new colony. Women would always be blamed for problems in Puritan society, and as Miss Bell said, women were less to be nostalgic to Puritan past. So the women were more so looking to the future and what role they could play than necessarily being stuck in the past, being stuck in what control men had in the colony, or what were the basic beliefs of men. And they also opposed the idea of an inscrutable Calvinist deity whose male absolutism was reflected in the government of the Bay Colony itself. So they weren't interested in necessarily being controlled by this patriarchal society. They wanted to say in this new government. After all, it is new. The fact that men could determine all the rules of society and then play by whichever set of rules they wanted or change them along the way was repressive to the people they were saying. Anne Hutchinson was also preaching a new dynamic that would again appear in the Great Awakening, the idea of individual salvation. As Ben Baker Benfield said of Hutchinson, she represented the emergence of dynamic individual consciousness. This individual consciousness was dangerous to Winthrop and his power as governor of the Bay Colony. So this idea that one's salvation did not necessarily come from others or did not have to come from the church, but was an individual thing, was very dangerous to society, as well as to John Winthrop.